Today, I want to talk about how a Citadel whistleblower finally came forward to expose Ken Griffin's crimes. Now, this is a great start that will hopefully lead to more whistleblowers coming forward and revealing that Ken Griffin is nothing more than a modern day Bernie Madoff. So stay tuned and let's make some money. And now I'm going to dive straight in with the key information. So, God of Markets tweeted saying an SEC whistleblower filing indicates that Citadel Securities submitted 80 million incorrect trades on their blue sheet reports. So this user searched for Blue Diamond in Citadel and found an SEC whistleblower filing that indicates that Citadel submitted 80 million incorrect trades on their blue sheet reports. So if we navigate to that SEC filing, it says the SEC today announced that 3 broker-dealers have agreed to pay more than $6 million to settle charges for providing the SEC with incomplete and inaccurate securities trading information in required SEC productions known as blue sheet data. Now, the SEC uses this blue sheet data to carry out its enforcement and regulatory obligations, including the investigation of insider trading and other fraudulent activity. Now, Citadel was not filling in these blue sheet publications that is required by the SEC for them to investigate fraud. They were lying on their filings, filing incorrect information and trying to hide the real truth. It says according to the SEC's orders, over a period of several years, Citadel Securities, Natixis Securities Americas, and MUFG Securities Americas each made numerous deficient blue sheet submissions containing inaccurate or missing data, incorrect order execution times that failed to adjust for time zone changes, and incorrect or missing exchange codes, transaction type identifiers, opposing broker number, and contra-party identifiers. This basically means that Citadel lied on reports on who took the other side of their trades, when these trades happened, and how these trades were coded. Therefore, Citadel has lied when they've taken out a short position and marked it as a long position, and they've lied who took the other side of their trade, likely because there wasn't somebody taking the other side when they were actually creating synthetic shares. They were obviously saying this is who we sold the security to, but we'll just make up somebody of who we actually bought the security from, because we didn't actually buy it, we just created it. It says Citadel, the largest provider of blue sheet data of the firms charged today, submitted incorrect data for nearly 80 million trades, while Natixis and MUFG submitted incorrect data for only 150,000 trades and 650,000 trades respectively. That just shows that Citadel is guilty to a massive magnitude and multitude compared to other firms out there. These firms only incorrectly reported 150,000 trades and 650,000, which is still no small feat, but Citadel incorrectly reported 80 million trades. That's not just 80 million shares that had incorrect references or incorrect identifiers. This is 80 million individual trades, aka 80 million individual clicks of buttons with incorrect or fraudulent data. Now, obviously, while this isn't directly a whistleblower coming out to expose the synthetic shares that Citadel have created, this whistleblower is coming out to say that Citadel Securities has been mismarking and incorrectly reporting trades for a long time. And these trades could have definitely related in the creation of synthetic shares, especially Citadel was misreporting who was taking the other side of their transactions. Or even potentially omitted that data completely if they omitted the opposing broker number. As Hangloose pointed out, it's crazy that Citadel managed to commit 80 million violations. I would struggle clicking a button 80 million times over the span of many weeks or even months or even years, let alone to commit 80 million violations in a fairly short space of time. Now, Open Ain't Easy has also pointed out a very interesting similarity between Bernie Madoff and Ken Griffin. Unusual Wells tweeted saying Bernie Madoff's brokerage firm was processing 10 to 15% of all of the trading orders for the New York Stock Exchange by the 1990s. But as Open Ain't Easy points out, he said that Citadel Securities processes 40%, which is absolutely massive even compared to Bernie Madoff. He said let that sink in. It's crazy to compare the similarities between Bernie Madoff, a person that even the SEC thought was a golden child, to today's Ken Griffin. Ken manages and controls even more of the New York Stock Exchange and the overall stock market than Bernie Madoff did back in the 90s. He seems to be the only hedge fund this year that generated profit, especially compared to the other hedge funds that were down 50, 60 and 70%, some down even more. But on the other hand, Citadel was supposedly up 30% or so, obviously if you're not counting those securities that he sold and not yet purchased. As I said, I do expect that figure to shoot up dramatically from something like 60 billion all the way to 70 or 80 billion. If he obviously did purchase those shorted positions and close out of his shorts, causing the AMC squeeze, it would drop his profit dramatically, likely into a very heavy loss, potentially even into bankruptcy. Now, I also wanted to talk about the short's latest manipulation, which is to show somebody by the name of Adam Aaron and Alexandra Shapiro selling AMC shares. It says that Adam Aaron supposedly sold another 3 million AMC shares during the conversion and additional share issue back in 2020. But actually, this isn't the Adam Aaron that we all know and love. This is actually a completely separate Adam Aaron. Dave Murphy tweeted saying the other real Adam Aaron is this man here, and here he is with Alexandra Shapiro. Now, this Adam Aaron and Alexandra actually work for 37 Capital. Now, even though this Adam Aaron works at 37 Capital, he previously, only a few years ago, worked at Citadel Securities and at Millennium Capital Management. Again, as Al pointed out, this is just simply another Psychops attack to try and mess with our heads and try and convince us that Adam Aaron, the CEO, is selling shares when it's not actually that Adam Aaron. Citadel have actually gone out of their way to find somebody named Adam Aaron with a securities license and gave him the money to buy and sell AMC shares. Now, on top of that, we know that FTX and Citadel Securities worked together very heavily to create synthetic AMC and GameStop shares, but I didn't know just how deep the corruption ran. Kay tweeted saying, so apparently, Almeida's Caroline LARPed on 4chan and posted about how she was excited for the GameStop investors self-deleting. And she also said that AMC isn't worth a day to celebrate, but she said she'll celebrate their self-deletes with the GameStop ones. Obviously, I can't say this video on YouTube, which is why I'm saying the term self-delete, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. Caroline posted saying she's planning out how she's going to celebrate the 8 days of Hanukkah this year. She said so far she's got the Doge self-deletes, the GameStop self-deletes, and the SHIB self-deletes. She said, what other bag holder self-deletes are there to celebrate later this year? She said, I decided AMC isn't worth a day. She said, I'll celebrate their self-deletes as part of GameStop. Clearly, Caroline was having a great time celebrating as she was working first-hand with Citadel to crush the price of AMC and potentially Doge and Shiba Inu as well. Again, it shows that even Caroline knew exactly from the start what they were doing with Citadel and what they were doing creating all of these synthetic shares. As Ape Radio tweeted, he said, so it takes the SBF issue to expose a scam. But retail has been complaining about this for years. He said, look at these morons pretending they care about us, the retail investors. It's a joke. Because you may have seen that Andy Barr tweeted saying over 1 million retail investors are estimated to have lost $8 billion in the FTX collapse. He said if you or a family member were victimized, the Department of Justice is asking you to contact them through email. Now, it's all well and great the Department of Justice is trying to make it up to retail investors who invested into FTX. But actually, if you look at the losses or the money that was stolen from retail investors through AMC and GameStop, it's many magnitudes more than $8 billion. For example, the AMC float is around 516 million shares, but when you factor in synthetics on top of that, even a very conservative estimate, there's still at least 1 billion shares in total. Now, that's obviously only assuming there's a very small amount of synthetics, only around 500 million synthetics, leading to 1 billion total shares. Now, we know there's at least 2 billion, 3, 4, 5, 10 billion, maybe even more shares, but even at a very, very conservative estimate of only 1 billion, we can still see that retail investors lost way more money than they did during the FTX collapse. So if we take the average holding price or the average share purchase price for all of us apes on AMC, I imagine it's somewhere between $10 and $30. My average purchase price is somewhere around $20, somewhere around $19, $20 per share, so therefore I'm going to assume the average is around $20 per share. Again, I know some apes bought in even lower than I did, around $8 or $10, but many apes bought in later, around $30 or $40. Again, some apes have averaged down to say $10, but some apes don't have the money to average down below their $40 buy-in. So therefore, I think a $20 estimate again is a fairly conservative number for everybody's average share purchase price. 1 billion shares multiplied by $20 per share is an absolute total amount of money spent of $20 billion. Now, right now, AMC is trading around $3 or $4 per share, multiplied by 1 billion shares is around $3 or $4 billion of total cash value. Now, that means that AMC retail investors have lost or have had stolen $17 billion from them. When you factor in that 90% of AMC is held by retail investors, that means at least 90% of this $17 billion has been lost or stolen. You may say, Tom, only 80% of the float is held by retail, maybe it's 90%, maybe it's 95%, it doesn't really matter, but $17 billion is still way more money than was lost compared to FTX. This money has been stolen from us and has gone directly into the hands of that 1%, those people like Citadel Securities and Ken Griffin. But even though that is the case, it is very comforting to know that Charles Payne is still holding AMC and is still waiting for the squeeze. He said he holds around $50,000 worth of AMC shares at around $40 per share, therefore pretty much proving my average share purchase price. He said he thinks it's around $40, but he's forgot the average price that he purchased for. He said because he's putting those AMC shares on a shelf, and he said call me when it's time to sell. Clearly Charles Payne is confident on another AMC run-up and the AMC squeeze, therefore he's plenty happy holding his AMC shares even at $40 per share. Again, it's not like Charles Payne only bought 1 or 2 shares, he's bought $50,000 worth of shares at $40 per share. But he's not worried about holding those shares because he knows the squeeze is coming. Now, he did say the January 2021 squeeze came and went. I think he got a little bit confused on the wording there because really the January 2021 run-up wasn't a squeeze, just simply a run-up. But January 2021 has been and gone. But he said he'll be down when AMC does next squeeze. Therefore, again, Charles Payne is absolutely confident in another AMC run-up and another AMC squeeze. And again, it seems in almost perfectly timed fashion, the World Bank has just cut its 2023 forecast and is warning of a global recession. As I said in my video earlier, the next leg down of the current recession is just about to begin, and the World Bank is actually predicting a global recession. But guys, be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always guys, be sure to ding that notification bell, because that way you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.